You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. It's a pretty big weekend for LSU. They are going to be hosting one of the top wide receiver targets in the transfer portal. Oh, you may not know the name C.J. Daniels, but C.J. Daniels is a wide receiver at Liberty and who is in the transfer portal, and he's being pursued by darn near everybody. He's been pursued by Texas and Oregon, Auburn, Florida. Some of the biggest programs in the country are pursuing Daniels out of the transfer portal, and with good reason. He just had a 1,000-yard receiving season over at Liberty, 55 catches for 1,067 yards and 10 touchdowns here during the 2023 season. He spent 4 years in college. This was his most productive season here in 2023. He has taken reps as both a punt returner and a kickoff returner as well in his college career. So you're talking about a dynamic athlete at 6'2", 200 pounds, a guy who, coming out of high school, it's a great example of a guy who coming out of high school might not have been the highest rated recruit, but goes to college, continues to develop, turns into a 1,000-yard receiver and a really good offense there at Liberty, has 4 years of college experience, and now hits the transfer portal and has some pretty incredible opportunities at major schools, as I just mentioned. He's visited Texas and Oregon, Auburn, Florida, and taking a visit to LSU here this weekend. I think there's two things that stand out to me about this with C.J. Daniels. Number one, I think LSU pursuing Daniels is evidence, to me anyway, that roster management and roster construction is looking more and more like the NFL. And please don't misunderstand me. This isn't the old cliche, well, it's pro football now. I'm not interested in that conversation. What I am interested in is how coaches will build and develop their roster. For example, for years and years and years, it was, well, you recruit out of the high school ranks and you develop players, and then by year 3, if they haven't really cracked your rotation, they typically transfer. But that's usually when you have your guys ready to roll by the time they're in their third year, either as a junior or as a redshirt sophomore. Well, in the NFL, there's the old adage that you're always getting better or getting worse. You're never staying the same in the NFL. And so that's why you have the draft. That's why teams sign undrafted free agents. Because you never know. You get a guy in, you let him work out. He could end up being better than the guy you currently have at that position. That's why you bring guys in for free agent workouts during the season. Your kicker's struggling, well, bring in a whole bunch of guys for workouts. You're always either getting better or you're getting worse. That's why you have a practice squad, because guys could continue to develop within your organization. If they do, maybe they're a better option than the guy you have currently on your active roster. It's never status quo. You're always evolving. And because of the transfer portal, it's allowed college rosters to be built similarly. I look at LSU's roster at receiver, and they don't need a receiver. Sometimes we break it down into like needs, wants, needs, and musts, right? Well, like a receiver kind of feels like a want. You don't need a receiver. A receiver isn't a must. Could be a want. But if you have a guy that caught 55 balls for 1,067 yards and 10 touchdowns this year, and he's in the portal, and that's more production than any of your returning receivers have, while you like all the guys you have, that guy's better, has been more productive than any of the guys you have. So while you may like the guys you have, if you add him, you're better at that position. So you're always getting better or getting worse. You're never staying the same. But the other part is that it is a bit of a surprise that LSU would pursue a receiver. Look at what you have returning. Kyron Lacey, who had 30 catches for 558 yards and 7 touchdowns. You got Kyron returning for his senior season, which is massive for LSU to get Kyron Lacey back after losing Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas to the draft. Chris Hilton is going into his 4th season. So you're talking about a guy who this past year had 13 catches for 225 yards and a couple of scores. But Hilton's a guy, again, who's waited his turn, who is, physically a really good, dynamic athlete. Track speed and can jump out the gym. A really dynamic pass catcher, can go get it, stretch the field. You have Aaron Anderson returning, who didn't have a super productive this year, 12 catches for 59 yards, but was a 5-star and is a different style of receiver, is a smaller guy who can also fly. And remember, you also added Xavier Thomas out of the portal, who had 40 catches for 503 yards and a score. So those 4 right there give you 4 veteran productive players, and then you still have Shelton Sampson and Kyle Parker and Kai Preon. I mean, you are loaded at receiver with veteran guys, production, transfer player, and then some young guys who are on the come up. So, yeah, it's a little surprising that LSU would target a receiver here in the portal, but if you're a receiver, why wouldn't you be interested in LSU? Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Terrace Marshall, Kayshon Boutte, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas. I mean, LSU is pumping receivers into the NFL. You come here, you play in this offense, they've shown they're going to spread the ball around, they're going to give you opportunities, and you're going to be able to go to the draft and be a first rounder and make a lot of money. So I get why CJ Daniels from Liberty is interested in LSU. And similarly, I understand why LSU would add a player like that, because he makes you better. But it certainly is evidence of an evolution of how rosters at the college level are being built, because you could just go into this season with Lacey, Hilton, Anderson, Thomas, Sampson, Parker, Preon, and feel really, Landon Ibieta still on the roster as well, and feel really good about that group. Would you have a chance to add a 1,000-yard receiver? Of course you do. You always get better if you can. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.